Hey everybody, Kenny here with Sagebrush Soul, and as promised today we are going to be building an underseat organizer for the back seat of my 2007 GMC Duramax. Any of you that have these kind of trucks that don't have a built-in organizer that came from the factory know that you can't store anything. Everything shakes loose, it rattles, it rolls. So we're going to fix that today. But first things first, we got to clean out the back seat. I have a 70-30 seat configuration in my truck. To suit my needs, I'm only going to have the organizer go under the 70% section because I use the smaller section to haul my laptops, microphones, and camera equipment. I start by measuring the height of the seat front and back and the distance I want the organizer to come forward. I want to make sure it won't interfere with the rare but possible passenger's comfort, but still capitalize on the space. My measurements for the front are 7.5 inches high down to 4 inches in the back, with a 17-inch distance between the two. I'm going to use the cardboard from the bed storage boxes to make a template for the front piece by cutting it down to 7.5 inches, then taking it to the truck to scribe the hump that will need to be cut out. I'll show a better example of this in a bit. Then I cut a 1/2 inch, 2 foot by 4 foot sanded plywood handy panel to 7.5 inch by 4 foot pieces. I don't usually buy these, but the shop is already overrun with scrap wood and I don't have the space for most of a sheet of leftover plywood. Then I transfer my template onto one of the pieces of plywood and cut it out with a jigsaw. I left the length of the front wild so I could physically mock up the fit and function and not rely on a measurement to avoid interference. Once the front was done, I repeated the template process for the sides. To make a good template, it usually requires several marking and cutting sessions. Patience in this process makes for a very satisfying result. Then I transfer the patterns on the sides. I am aware that this isn't the safest way to make these cuts. If you choose to do it this way, you do so at your own risk. After everything was cut and test fit, I cleaned up all the edges with a belt sander. I decided to laser engrave the Sagebrush Soul logo in the door side of the box until I remembered I don't have a laser engraver. So I used vodka and a wood burner to get the job done. One of my viewers commented on my reloading bench video that it looked like something out of Red Dead Redemption. It may surprise you that I'm not much of a gamer, but I do love me some RDR. So I carried that theme into my project with some leather corners. To do this, I cut a 2-inch strip of leather long enough for both corners, then I cut that in half. I cut a V-groove down the center to help the leather fold easier. Then I wet them and folded them. While they were a little moist, I made marks for some upholstery nails we used to attach them to the box. I used a fairly common nail and found that 1/4 of an inch from the edge and a 1/2 inch space between the nails is almost perfect for this look. I'll put these and all the other dimensions in the comments if you want to try this project. Once dry, I used a leather dye diluted with some denatured alcohol to get an erratic weathered effect. While the leather was drying, I assembled the organizer. For added durability, I glued the corners to the box. And for added coolness, I drove the nails. To support the back, I used a threaded rod and cap nuts and forgot to film it. You can see that here. The rod allows access to the jack without having to remove the organizer. And with that, the organizer is complete. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed my take on the underseat organizer. Coming up in the next video, we're going to put together a prep kit for this truck. I've really been slacking on that the last couple of years, and with the snowmobile hill climb season coming up soon, I get into some really remote and very cold areas. So we're going to do that, and I'll show you how I set up the toolboxes and wrap up this series. Thanks again for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. We've got more stuff like this coming up.